You still didn't answer my question. Chase says nothing. We exit City Hall and are instantly greeted by a slew of faces. Oh, Lord. I don't remember Micah's voice. There's a lot of fresh shit, you know. I don't fucking know. And I know Kudzu. He had that sort of off Brooklyn accent. What do you mean we can't leave? What do you mean when you say we can't leave? Everyone seems to be gathered around the front entrance, the headlights from half a dozen cars lighting us up as we exit. Most eyes are on Auntie. The air has this sort of smoky tinge to it, like someone's cooking something. I wonder if it's from the fire I saw earlier. Y'all came here because you wanted answers. Now you're gonna listen to them or not? I recognize most of the people in the crowd. Janice, Duke, Kudzu, Micah, Heather, Mark, and shit, about a dozen more. Some of them look downright terrified. Others, like Micah, like the klepto shithead from Tetanus Alley, just looks pissed. Agitated by whatever the hell Auntie's saying. I can see Duke, the old widower that lives next to Leo, somewhere back by his car. He isn't looking at my aunt anymore. He's fixated on Chase with that sort of 1,000-yard stare. In the back of the crowd, I see the lumbering figure of Leo. Oh, Leo looking different. At the sight of us, he pushes his way through. Otter! Leo beams, wrapping Chase in with his arms, seemingly uncaring that half the town was behind him. I see Chase's face contort, the otter grimacing. He seems more disgusted than pained, especially as Leo begins to rub his large hands along his backside. You didn't need to run, you know that. I'm here. Chase manages to wriggle free, nearly stumbling back into a prickly pear cactus in the process. Leo catches him, holding onto his wrist. A long moment where Leo is just looking at Chase's face, his expression shifting from the wide smile to more of a vacant stare. I got bit by a black widow. I'm okay now, but... You grew your goatee back. How'd that happen? What? Chase's eyes widen some, and he clutches at the ratty-looking tuft of dyed fur on his chin. That's a shame. I always thought you looked cuter without it. Dude, what the hell is happening? Yeah, I'm fucking wondering that too, man. Carl speaks hushedly to me, and all I can respond with is an astonished shrug. We're getting elements of, like, all these different routes in this one. Makes me wonder, like... I don't know if there's going to be, like, a true route at the end of this that explains everything, or what. Or if we're just supposed to pick pieces out of all of them. Auntie begins to speak up again. Let's talk plain like. Most of y'all are seeing things. Bad things. And some folk around here have been starting acting real strange, more so than the usual suspects are on their bouts with the happy juice. And nobody's getting any tower or satellite signals from the phones or the internet. Landline's fuzzy too. A couple of people nod. Mike is now looking over his shoulder, seemingly unfocused on what Auntie is saying. Mark tried to head off to Peyton to see if the county offices knew what was going on. He got about as far as the Flint turnoff before he found himself on the old Route 65 leading back into town. He tells me he tried 3 times to get through. No luck. Now, I would have slapped him on the head with a roll of newspaper and told him that to take his clown into the circus if I hadn't heard the same sort of thing from my grandpa decades ago. Folk traveling in buggies trying to escape the madness of this town, but they got snared in one hell of a web. If y'all have been thinking your dreams have been getting real queer as of late, you ain't alone. It's been getting worse. Honestly, I was packing my bags to get out before it hit. I wasn't ready to leave. I remember telling Auntie I wanted to stay for Carl's interview, but I wanted to also see if I could get to the bottom of the shit with TJ too. So you're saying there's no way out? That we're in an inescapable bubble? Sweetheart, it's like the tide. It goes in, it pulls out, it's pulled out, and sometimes it pulls stuff with it. My grandpa, God rest his soul, told me it was attracted to the uncouthness of man, the eyes and desires with which we cannot unshackle ourselves. Simple sin. Mark. She looks over at the horned toad, our town's treasurer. He's standing by his black four-door SUV. I always made fun of him for buying it. Black cars in the desert ain't a good mix unless you're keen on baking. He reaches into the car and pulls out a lumpy something wrapped in a flamboyantly colored beach towel. I recognize the faded logo in the corner as one of the Southwestern Adventures, an old souvenir maybe. Mark herks as he steps in front of the mayor with it, setting it on the ground. The first thing I see is the feet sticking out of the end. Someone in the back, Heather, I think, screams. It's a banshee-like wail as Mark pulls back on the fabric. No! Keith! What? It's not Keith. At first it's difficult to tell exactly what I'm looking at, but after a few moments I can see clearly who it is. That's Salem! What? Keith! Jesus! No. TJ begins to sob, his terrified sniffles mixing with Heather's confused shrill cries. The boar is covered in lacerations, most of which are on his face. 2 swipes of whatever cut him seemed to have torn his eyes and part of his snout out. I always thought when someone had their eyes taken out, it was just black holes inside, but it's pink. It's like I'm looking into the guy's brain. I feel like I'm gonna hurl. What happened to him? He tried to leave. Yeah, but how did that happen? The raccoon, who up to this point I've never seen as anything but strong, as the strong silent type, looks shaken up bad. He clutches his forehead with a paw, shaking his head. God, for a second he looked like someone else. I barely know Salem. He's a recent move-in who originally squatted on vacant land in an RV until the landowner started making him pay to live there. He kept to himself, never even said 2 words to the guy. As an accomplishment, we are stuck in a town with there's about 50 people still living here. I know that feeling. Mark tells me that the 3rd time he tried to leave, he saw him just laying there at the side of the road next to his RV. Dead as a doorknob. So to answer your question, Coon Boy, I don't know. These things always end. But there's no clear definition of when or how. I advise as I do in all trying times to turn to the higher powers, pray and repent as you may. There's a shocked silence from those present. Daxton keeps shaking his head. Jenna tries her phone again. Micah stares off into the dark in the direction of the highway. Oh, here comes Duke. I know how to make the vision stop. The weasel steps up to Auntie, though he's not looking at her. Yeah? What's your proposal, Duke? He points a pink finger towards Chase. We stop him. This picture was on, somewhere. I saw this picture somewhere. Chase sort of half blinks, his bloodshot eyes aimed all unfocused like at the scruffy weasel. What? I can't discern whose voice the guy came from. This has all happened before. He looks towards Auntie, who nods inquisitively. And that's only gonna get worse. It happened to my granddaddy, my daddy, and now it's happening to me. Well, me and the rest of yous. Dale's missing. Cynthia drove into the desert. Clint and Jeremy are running around shooting and screaming at nothing. Thing is, we've all got something after us, something bad. Won't let you leave when it starts. What's after you? The raspy voiced bat chimes up, still looking off into the desert away from the crowd. Duke's quiet for a moment, rolling a handmade cigarette between his thumb and index finger. It's always triggered by something. Duke begins to pace, still pointing at Chase.
I seen you here last week, before all the rest of your little friends showed up. Late at night outside his house.
He nods at Leo's direction, the wolf clasping Chase's shoulder protectively.
Just standing there. For hours and hours. I didn't even need to be asleep to see you.
The last line rings strange, Duke saying it as if it makes perfect sense. Chase's gaze shifts to his feet, his legs beginning to tremble.
Hey, I'm not saying you did it, or that you're wanting all this to happen.
He steps over Salem's body, approaching the otter.
It's just that you gotta know something, anything that we can use to stop this. 'Cause anytime I ask big old Leo here, he just got this glazed look in his eyes, telling me where I can stick my inquiries.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, someone told me that you would know.
And to this point, I see black metallic shapes sticking out of the back of the weasel's trousers. He's got a gun! Daxton flinches, seeing it too.
Oh, shit.
He mutters, and I feel Carl step closer against me. Who?
Someone I know!
He yells, leaning in closer to Chase. Leo steps completely in front of him, ears down with his fangs bared.
It makes sense. Something bad happens, and if you don't fix it, it won't stop coming after you.
Leo lets out a deep, guttural rumble, looking like a feral ready to pounce. Duke holds up his paws, smiling uneasily.
This is all real timey with your friends showing up. So what happened, Chase?
I don't know what you're talking about. Auntie exchanges a glance with Mark and then both look at Chase, seemingly unconcerned that Duke is packing.
Things are getting worse out here, and unless we do something, we're all gonna end up like young Salem.
Duke's voice is dead and distant. He's right. Auntie's voice cuts through the air like a knife. Next thing I know, her and Mark are stepping up beside Duke. Flynn, come here. My heart lurches at hearing my name called, and I strain myself to keep a straight face. I try not to look at the body as I walk up, feeling my backside illuminated by a dozen headlights and the gaze of the crowd. You locked Chase in the reading room with all them spiders. Why?
You what?
Didn't know about the spiders at the time, I mumble. Flynn. She looks away for a moment. Oh, well. I wonder what the Jews. Oh, shit.
Pretty sure he killed Sydney.
I clutch my head, the blood in my veins feeling cold. It's as if the gravel beneath my feet is turning to quicksand. My mouth moves as if to say more, but I manage to bite my tongue. This just makes the pain worse. What the fuck is happening? I can see Jenna covering her face with both paws, seemingly in disbelief that this is really happening. There's a few murmurs from the gathering. Micah looks back at us, seemingly distracted from whatever was in the desert he was staring at. You'll talk about your little friend who drowned in the lake a decade ago?
Yeah. Wow, kid.
He clicks his tongue, shaking his head at the bedraggled-looking otter.
That's fucked up.
Chase starts to look like TJ again, as if on the urge of breaking down into sobs. He seems to be alternating from angry, sad, and confused over and over again.
It's bullshit and you know it, Flynn. You killed Sydney, you fucker!
The pain flares, my vision blurring for a second.
That's not true.
I highly doubt that, lover boy.
I'll beat all your asses if you keep telling lies, yeah?
He grins, eyeing the rifle in my hands. I clutch it more tightly. Duke turns, thumbing toward the wolf.
It's already got him.
He speaks with such idle nonchalance, not bothering to clarify what it is.
Sid died like 10 years ago. This doesn't make any fucking sense. Well, this sort of murder happened before. My grandpappy lived through this whole thing and stayed in the town after.
Yeah, that's right. It happened weeks after the body was found. Auntie rubs her thumb through a floral scarf, staring into the headlights of one of the old Jeeps. The one in the mines. The air got all electric and fuzzy. Folks went out of their minds. She's never talked about any of this before. How do you know that? Brett gabbed about it a lot when you were a youngin', and even before you were born. Dad. The whole superstition was part of his justification for making like a library and booking it. Well then, one other reason. I try to ignore that last comment, still focusing on the increasingly tense stare-down between Leo, Chase, and Duke. I had heard Mom and Dad hated Echo, mainly the usual grumblings about godlessness. Any ailments that they had were surely the fucking result of some Latin sin. Or latent. That's right. Point is, the ground beneath our feet is a tainted soil. Rotten, shaky loam. Duke interrupts, but Auntie doesn't seem to mind. She's just frowning now, looking to the crowd of people. Her scarf's come undone due to all the fidgeting, and all this old scars she has beneath are visible, tattered scales replaced with pink flesh.
It's more rotten in some places. You know the ones. My grandpappy thought that 'cause they didn't catch the murderer, it planted some seeds in that bad dirt. But it ain't true.
Duke rubs at a scab along his forehead, squeezing his cigarette so hard the ash starts pouring out the other side like toothpaste.
They caught him all right. Then everything was okay for a while after they found him and he was killed.
What the fuck does this have to do with Sydney? Duke continues ignoring me.
So I don't know what it is, if it's murder or guilt or not catching someone that did wrong.
I shake my head. I can't believe this shit. It's not fucking haunting the town, you meth-addled cunt.
But it started when you got here. So you gotta forgive me for wondering if it's one of you. If one of you did something bad.
He was a fucking 9-year-old.
And brought that guilt back to this poisoned land to grow the seeds again.
Dude doesn't sound like himself at all, not even his recently crazed self. Still, though, I don't want to admit it, I start to have an idea of what Duke might be getting at. How all this fits into our history, and judging from the look in the gathered crowd's faces, the feeling appears mutual. There's murmured inquiries about what to do. Heather's still quietly sobbing, asking a group of people who ignore her why no one is helping Keith. Genevieve Sanders, a retired mail carrier from Peyton, mentions something about a lynching. Jenna's arms are crossed tight. Her expression is sort of this sort of furrowed, indignant stare that slowly falters to upset confusion. DJ's next to her, one paw on her arm. I can barely hear him, but he keeps saying he's sorry over and over. Leo begins to tug at Chase, pulling him back into the direction of the van. The two begin to hurriedly walk before Auntie speaks up. Stop! I always had this... I don't like that. This desire, this idea of getting justice for what happened. Sid deserved as much. But now, I can't say I'm feeling any catharsis or joy. Just this hollow rumbling from my insides that this ain't right. This can't be how we fix shit. Carl has his head down now, the ram acting small despite his burly proportions. I just want to move beside him, tuck him under my arm, and fuck off far away from here. Get back over here! Leo clutches Chase tighter, the otter wincing as he struggles to wriggle free from the wolf. I can walk on my own, Leo. Leo seems to ignore both the mayor and Chase as they approach the van. Jenna quickly shoves her phone into her purse, the Fennec visibly trying not to look at the body as she, TJ, Carl, and Dax join them. Jesus. I rub in my aching head. Fuck this, I gotta get out of here. I hear a clicking noise to my side. The horrible noise is deafening. Did y'all hear that? I hope you did. It was kind of quiet for me, too. It was a gunshot. I clutch the sides of my head and crouch down. A brass shell casing falls and hits my leg. It's hot. Duke's pointing his pistol into the air. Our group stops in their tracks, TJ falling to the ground and covering his face. Heather is shrieking, screaming over and over again, and then suddenly she stops. There's some flailing of movement from the group that was standing near her, like the dancing you see at raves. When I look again, I can't see her anymore. Mike is gone too. Him and a few others scattered. I can finally see the bat's silhouette in the distance, sprinting into the desert. What the fuck, Duke? I scream at the weasel.
Needed to get their attention for the mayor, yeah?
That's no fucking excuse. That shot could come back down and kill somebody. Duke clutches the pistol limply in his grasp, seemingly uncaring of where he's pointing the loaded weapon as he twirls his wrist about.
It's a bit late for that now. Folk have been hurt already. And they'll continue to get hurt till we stop this.
I hear shouts of agreement from the remaining crowd. Auntie just nods, and I can't help but give her a dumbfounded look. I clutch my repeater close. Spiders. Spiders got 'em. That's right, Flynn. She points at Chase. Yeah, he sat in a nest of 'em. Duke. She holds up a finger, fast walking back into the office without another word. Duke watches our group by the van. Everyone's quiet. His pistol is aimed up at the sky. After a minute, she returns with a piece of faded paper clutched in her hands. There's some old-timey writing on both sides of it. She holds it up to Mark and Duke. Mark uses his cell phone as a light as they begin to read, Duke lowering his gun. You can see Jenna moving by the edge of the fan. The fan? She's motioning towards me, then Duke. What does she want me to do, disarm him? One quick chop of the wrist. That'd do it, I guess. I'll drop my repeater, though. I don't really want to risk that, at least not yet. Surprisingly, Chase speaks up. What's it say? Boy, I think you know what it says. You were rooting through our stuff and plucking all these records Thursday. James Hendricks, notice of death. Carl visibly stiffens. Guess what killed him? Spiders. I step up, squinting at the paper. It's a notice of death, all right, for reference in an estate transfer. It's for a James Hendricks who passed away in 1913. The cause of death is listed as poison/infection. Tarantula. Tarantula? Chase shifts uncomfortably. Jesus, that's got planted on some black widows. What does Carl's old great whatever have to do with this? James Hendricks the First was a notorious sodomite. Oh my God, like Chase. I sigh. What?
You say he was looking at this the other day?
He's working on a school project. Hell, that's why he's here. So he claimed. You're sure about that? Hunt seems to pry at my own doubt. Look back at the pathetic-looking otter. He looks to me. And then Dax steps up. Hey, He stops just short of the body on the ground. Daxon straightens his posture, folding his hands behind his back. Mr. Duke, I think you've been making a lot of really interesting headway into how we can solve all this. You know, much better than just hiding out in our houses from rampant chaos and the like. But, Salem here. He unsteadily gestures toward the corpse on the towel, the boar's hollow eye sockets still staring at the stars above. Whatever got him, I think stopping/avoiding that should be priority number one. Because, I mean, I've only known Chase about half a week, but it doesn't seem like the sort to be capable of all this.
Kid, I've known Chase all my life, and I'd reckon something similar. But at the end of the day, Chase didn't do this. It's what Chase did that did this. This town needs justice. Hell, that little Sydney kid needs justice. I'm gonna save all y'all. And make it so she leaves me alone once and for all.
Who leaves you alone? Dude unresponded said, raising his pistol. I can tell who he's aiming at, his paw shaky. I need to do something. Jesus fuck, Do nothing! I I stand there, and I can see Jenna beside the van looking at me pleadingly. Auntie's peering at me now, a strange look on her face. This isn't right. I should do something. My head is killing me. Something's wrong. And at the worst possible fucking time, I grit my teeth, concentrating on what's really happening. Duke says something I can't quite make out, and Daxton stammers something back in retort. I've had visions of Chase too, but nothing that points towards that as a conclusion. Leo slides Chase behind him, the wolf's ears pinned to the side of his head. Oh! Hey! We got an actual choice now! What the fuck does this mean? Raise the repeater. We don't know who he's pointing it at. Trust Daxton. What the fuck is Daxton doing that we need to trust him? This could be the difference between the good or bad ending. I don't honestly know. I don't see how trust Daxton is a thing. I don't know what that fucking means. But the main thing is we have a crazy motherfucker with a gun. A lot of them, probably. So, why have tension if you can't escalate it, right? Raise the repeater. Despite the throbbing pain, I managed to pull up my gun and aim it at Duke. Drop it, fucker. Flynn! Let him die! Someone in the crowd yells. Fuck you!
I ain't gonna kill him, Flynn. He just needs to stay put. If the spider bites get him, then that's fate.
And if he doesn't stay put?
I'll make him stay put.
The fuck you will. Put the gun down. Dude just stares ahead at the otter, pistol still raised. I can hear fucking people in my head telling me to save right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Right quick. And then go back. Back to where we were. Oh, well, that was going backwards. Yeah, there we go. Duke just stares ahead at the otter, pistol still raised. Daxton holds up his hands, immediately stepping to the side and out of the line of fire. You don't need to do that. I said drop it! Why won't you fucking listen to me? I can't yell. Duke says nothing. Do it! I see the weasel exhale, traces of cigarette smoke leaving his nostrils and dissipating into the hazy air. Slowly, his wrist goes limp, and he lowers his arm to his side. I step over and knock the gun out of his paw. Next thing I know, Leo is sprinting across the parking lot. Oh shit, the wolf tackles the weasel to the ground, striking him in the jaw with a free fist. Mark and Auntie quickly try to pull him off, and I scamper down to grab Duke's pistol before Leo does. Let me go, let me go! We're leaving, Leo, come on! Duke whinges on the ground, one of his snaggle teeth hanging from his lower lip. You doomed us, kid, and he's gonna get away with it! He stretches his mangy arm across the ground, pointing towards Chase. Auntie moves over beside me, resting her hand on my shoulder. Flynn, you can't make this decision for everyone. There's something wrong with you. I can't believe you entertained this fucking meth head's proposal. I used to think you were a good person, you know, but fuck that, witch trials it is! I spit on the ground. Auntie lowers her hand and begins to fidget with her scarf, her gaze shifting downcast. Used to think us Moors were immune to all this sordid nonsense business, but I don't think you are. Not anymore. Be careful, Flynn. She turns, walking back towards Mark, who is busy rewrapping Salem's body and bringing him inside. It's rare to see her look so uneasy. Trying to run a shit town like Echo, you get a thick skin for shit crumbling around you, but nothing like this. Daxton quickly helps Chase into the van, and the rest of the gang follows. Basically have to drag him by the shirt to get him to come with, the wolf snarling and swearing in his native tongue the whole time. Oh! It's Sunday. Oh, whoa, whoa! What the fuck? Whoa, what was that? Hold up. Okay, I'm looking right at you, motherfucker. Show me, what the hell was that? Oh, what the fuck? There was like a fucking creepy crawly or some shit. I didn't like that. Not one bit. And we'll see what the hell is the consequence of this choice in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching, guys. This is all kinds of unnerving. I don't like this. I don't like what the fuck that thing was. I don't like it. I don't like it. And by that I mean I love this game, but I don't like... I'm unnerved. But we'll find out what happens in the next episode. Until then, thank you guys for watching. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the outro end slate, alright? Alright, let's do it. So, on the left, you got the list of patrons. On the right, videos. In the middle, links. Stuff in the description as well. Holy shit, man. Yeah. I am fucking scared. Please watch the next one. Holy shit. Bye, guys.